The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you enjoy our work, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. Thanks for your support, and enjoy.
Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined, as always, by the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and today we're taking a suggestion from you, listener. Yes, you. That one right there. I'm pointing, but this is not a visual medium, so you can't see it. Know that I'm pointing at you. Put your hand on the screen. Put your hand on my hand. Because today we're talking about wrestling.
That's right. We're talking about wrestling again. Well, and I know what you're saying. Oh, does that mean you're back into modern wrestling? Does that mean you're watching the WWE again? You're not saying any of these things. You can read the title. But shh, let me have my fun. No. We're talking today about a random internet survey.
So it's
about wrestling this time.
Yeah, it's a Twitter tag going around, 30 Days of Wrestling, and you, listener, you little genius you, had the idea of, what if we condense 30 days of tweet-length blips into one podcast? And said I sure as fuck don't have a better topic for this week, and here we are.
Hey! Professional.
This is off the cuff. I barely glanced at this, and, this is not shit that's set in stone, man.
Yeah, I'm going to give answers here that I will look back on later and go, that was a stupid answer, but this is, at this moment, this is what my heart
feels. At this moment, as we're taking this survey thing here.
Alright, so, you're supposed to answer, one of these a day, but we're doing them all at once because, well, that would be a real shitty podcast if we just answered the first question and went, but...
If you like, you can just, pause the podcast. I think it takes a few minutes for YouTube to register, where you left off. But when we finish a topic, you can just pause it. And then the next day, you come back and you watch it again. Or just watch it over from the beginning, like a long round of the 12 Days of Christmas.
Do neither of those things. They're both weird.
All right, but like and subscribe, you menches. So, day one, question one, topic one. What was your favorite wrestler while growing up?
Stone Cold Steve Austin. You?
Mine was probably The Rock. I went through a lot of phases. Went through a DDP phase, went through a Kane phase, went through a Stone Cold phase. But I want to say in general, overall, with Mankind as a close second, The Rock.
I mean, we could explain why, but I want to see what the other questions are.
At the same time, if our answers had been something like New Jack or Psychosis, sure, explain the fuck why.
Everyone gets why I like Stone Cold.
And everybody gets The Rock. Anyway.
Question 2 is favorite female wrestler. Now, this doesn't mention all-time or current. I'm going to go current and say Ember Moon.
God, that's good. I have a lot of female wrestlers I really dig. I'm a huge fan of Solo Darling. I just think she's really fun. I think she manages to evolve and improve on her gimmick as time goes by while still keeping that core. But obviously also I'm a huge fan of Asuka and Ember Moon and Alexa Bliss, and I could go on.
Same. I picked Ember Moon.
Yeah, I'm going to say Solo Darling. She needs some respect. Not that she doesn't have enough, just more. Question number 3: favorite male wrestler.
So here's the fun thing. I have an easier time thinking of my favorite female wrestlers in current wrestling than I do my favorite male ones. I was thinking about it as you were answering that question. I looked ahead and I realized that I could name 5 or 6 female wrestlers that I really like. I really like watching them in the ring. I think they're very talented. And I'd have a harder time doing that with male wrestlers. I don't know why. There's plenty of talented male wrestlers. None of them are really my favorite. I guess Xavier Woods.
I'd say as a person, as an entertainment package, he's probably the one I like the most right now. If we're looking at just the WWE, definitely Rusev is up there. Man, I don't know if you can hear Train or not, but Train is back. It's been a while. This mic decides to pick up some things with crystal clarity and other things not so much. But Train is being really loud.
I would be very surprised if they couldn't hear the train.
Train is third nerd, if you guys are just joining us. I also have to give a shout out to Ophidian because he's a really cool dude. I love his style. I like his whole brand. I like all the shit that he and his lady do. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
All right. Question 4 is favorite theme music.
That's tough.
There's a lot of really good wrestling themes.
There are a lot of really good wrestling themes. Especially with like the WWE games coming out and having like old school theme music and reminding me of dumb shit that I love. Like the fucking Bad Street USA theme and the old Big Boss Man theme. I think of the old Big Boss Man theme frequently. More frequent than I probably should.
Hard times?
Yeah. But then there's like the modern stuff, like Rebel Heart and Ember Moon's theme.
Oh, Jesus, Rebel Heart is good.
And then there's all that nostalgic shit from the 90s, like the Brood theme and that electric guitar Undertaker theme.
I really like the Disturbed Stone Cold theme. I always have.
Yeah, that was really good.
I think that's honestly the first Disturbed song I ever liked.
Glass Shatters, I think is what it was called. I am going to have to.
What in your heart of hearts at this moment? What's speaking to you?
What's speaking to me? What's like, communicating?
What theme music? If I were to say name your favorite theme music right now, and you had like 3 seconds, what would you say?
No matter how upset I am at any wrestling event that I'm watching, which happened a lot, which is why we don't talk about WWE anymore. There is one wrestler's theme music that would bring me right out of it and immediately have me singing along, and that's Rusev's. I don't know if it's the same now that Rusev Day is a thing, but that bum ba da dum bum bum, I would sing along with it and sometimes stomp around the house like an idiot. So I've got to say Rusev's theme right now, probably my favorite theme music.
I'm in the same boat as he is, where there's a lot of modern wrestling themes that I think are really good. The CFOs are actually really good in and of themselves. They have a really good eye for what good wrestling music sounds like. But I think I'm gonna go a little bit. I don't know. I want to say mainstream and say that Shinsuke Nakamura's theme is powerful.
That is. Shout out to Bobby Roode as well.
Yeah, Glorious is just A+.
All right. Well, what is your favorite promotion?
I mean, WWE by default.
Yeah, you don't really watch a lot of outside wrestling.
No, it's not that I don't like it. I've been to indie shows. I've watched other promotion stuff. It's just that these days, most of the other promotions are in languages I don't speak. And while that's not exactly a humongous deal in terms of watching the athletics, in terms of getting into the story, being able to understand what the fuck is going on is really important. And from what I can tell, from what I've seen at least, the subtitle game in wrestling for New Japan is not exactly on point. So I can't watch it like I would a subbed anime.
Yeah, usually they, for their big events with New Japan, they'll do alternate commentary.
Yeah, and the commentary's nice, but I want to be able to hear what the wrestlers are saying.
That too. I have found, even with gradients, obviously English is my native language. I speak enough Spanish to get by. So I can watch Lucha Libre, I can watch AAA stuff, and it's fun. I can get engaged with it. I understand what they're saying, and I listen to the Spanish commentary because the English is garbage. They're just garbage bad commentators.
It happens.
Sure. But then I tried to watch, and I forget the promotion. I apologize. It's a Chinese promotion I was really excited about, but I just couldn't really follow anything. That language barrier, I didn't know who these people were. I could guess based on context clues, but that wasn't as fun as just enjoying it.
That's fun for a, sitting with your friends riffing sort of experience, not actually trying to get into the story.
Yeah, and I want to take this seriously.
And from what I understand, Japanese wrestling, it would probably be, honestly, knowing myself as I know myself, if I knew Japanese, my favorite promotion would probably be New Japan.
Yeah, dude, their storytelling is sick.
Their storytelling is...
And their promos
from what
are so good.
Everyone who watches it says their storytelling and promos are just amazing, next level stuff. But I don't speak the language, and I don't have time to learn Japanese.
My actual answer to the question is Chikara. I'm not as familiar with them as I am the WWE because money reasons, but they seem to grab the cross section of what I love about wrestling more often than not. So, all right, next question.
Next question is Day 6's question.
It's been 6 days, listener.
Man, I feel like things are just flying by. What's your favorite tag team?
Why did we make that awful joke? We were both party to that.
We were.
God, why do you listen to this podcast? Just like and subscribe and go away, and then maybe watch it again later.
But yeah, what's your favorite tag team?
New Age Outlaws. I'm not. Is that modern? Historically, I don't give a fuck. It's New Age Outlaws. You put Billy Gunn and Road Dogg in the ring again. I don't care if they just fart and wiggle their arms. Yay! Clap, 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 clap. That's me.
Billy Gunn's there. I'm not surprised.
No.
Oh god, that's a hard question for me because there's been a lot of tag teams I really love. A part of me wants to answer the New Day because
they are good. They're incredible.
They're fucking amazing. A part of me wants to answer the Usos because they
I
turned
love the
around
Usos.
so hard a few years ago, and I love them now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it's the New Age Outlaws.
There is a reason we are friends.
I don't like...
Well, okay, so this is going to be interesting. What about favorite stable?
You know, you would think it would be DX.
That's why I think this is interesting.
But I don't know that it is.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think my favorite stable, that is to say, more than two wrestlers who wrestle all at the same time, is honestly the Shield.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. I dig that.
Maybe, like, Shield era Wyatt family, but they were pretty much two halves of the same coin at that point. They wrestled so often. But yeah, I think favorite stable is probably the Shield.
That's a little harder for me.
They were just such perfect alchemy.
Because I love stables in wrestling.
So do I.
Like, I think there's so much storytelling that can happen with big gang warfare.
Stables beyond three people. I think, although the Shield for me is the thing that is crying out to me right now. If I'm talking about stables in wrestling as like storylines, I want it to be like 5 or 6 people.
Sure, yeah.
I want it to be like factions.
Yeah. And I really loved the old WCW days where there were like 4 NWOs and they were all fighting. Like, it was shitty booking, but the concept was really good. And a lot of the other stables, like the Job Squad and the BWO, the LWO, you know, all that stuff that was going on then, even DX at the time, that was some really cool potential that never really paid off.
Shout out to Evolution for being one of the most... for being the stable that helped to form modern WWE wrestling more than many others, I would say. They set a tone that is still with us to a certain extent.
I don't know that that's to be celebrated. But I'm gonna go with kind of an easy kind of a layup here. I'd say probably my favorite stable is the New Day.
Shit! I forgot about the New Day.
We just talked about them, and
like in terms of stables, because I just think of them as a tag team.
Right. I just feel like they've done a lot to revolutionize the current lens of the industry
and make wrestling fun again.
Yeah, man.
And keep things fresh and always try and reinvent. And sometimes that means you get Big E throwing pancakes at people, but sometimes it means you get good things too.
Big E. You are drugs.
For a while there, he was just high. That was his gimmick.
He was
just
on
rolling
ecstasy. That's
just
what
rolling
Big E
molly
stands for,
constantly. Yeah. He's the Big E. I would accept that answer really easily. Like that sounds okay. I can buy that.
He's just drugs.
Yeah, well, that and the New Day. Like,
oh yeah, sure.
That would be a good stand-in for my answer too. I think for me the Shield edges it out slightly, but not all that much. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I love Big E from way back.
Oh yeah, he's a meat missile.
I loved his match with Rusev with that. Well, both of them when they had that angle going, and
just big dudes clubbering each
I've
other.
always been a fan of Kofi, and I was excited when Xavier Woods got into the WWE. So
yeah, favorite angle. Don't say Kurt. Don't say Kurt.
Karen.
You son of a...
Oh, she's a Jarrett now. Or is that the other way around? Whatever.
I don't know, nor do I care.
About the love triangle and Impact Wrestling and real life. That's a tough one. Do you have an answer for that?
Beyond Kurt? Why do you think I told you not to say it? There's been a lot of really good wrestling angles. Mm-hmm. Which is just a completely meaningless statement, of course.
Sure, yeah.
Of all time, that's such a hard fucking question. That's such a hard. Like, there's the really easy answers. Is Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon.
Sure.
The rise of Triple H. Although there are people who dislike that, I can understand why. The ascendancy of The Rock. The pains my soul now, but the streak.
Sure. Yeah.
There's so many good choices there. I'm going to pick an underrated angle, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to pick an angle that isn't my favorite angle, but that other people shit on, and I, to this day, cannot figure out why.
Okay.
That was a couple years ago, WrestleMania, Roman Reigns versus Triple H. Disregard loud internet fans shitting on it constantly. Look at what the performers are doing. Look at what the performers are giving you in and of itself. That's a really good wrestling angle. It's portrayed really well. The one that led up to their WrestleMania main event against each other. It has a really good payoff. It has a really good build. It's underappreciated in my opinion. It's not the best angle ever, but people say it's bad, and I can't figure out why.
That's really tough for me. Because my soul wants to cry out at the dumbest bullshit. Like the Al Snow Big Boss Man feud, or...
No, not the dog pound match.
He ate his dog, dude.
Stop!
He made him eat his own dog. Or Billy and Chuck, which was just this... I don't know, it was this weird thing that was at the same time, like...
God, you so deeply couldn't get away with that now.
Pretending to be revolutionary, while also obviously not. Like, they had the fucking news media in on it, and that's either good use of money changing hands, or really good kayfabe.
No, they had him rolled. That was kayfabe,
Oh
dude.
my god, like, I'm sure it was some people yes, some people no. Like, just well fucking executed. And then when it was over, and no one fucking talked about it again. I'm gonna go classic. I'm gonna go one of the angles that galvanized me as a wrestling fan, as a lifer, and that's what led to and followed from Mankind winning the WWE Championship.
Ooh, yeah, that'll put butts in the seats.
Yeah. Sure as fuck will.
So, day 9's question. We were trading off on this, but...
I don't remember who said the last one either, so let's go.
Least favorite female wrestler?
Santino when he wore a wig?
Yeah, okay.
No, in all seriousness, that's a hard pull, because and it would have been easy a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. A few years ago, we would have both had the same answer, and it would have been locked in completely, because there was a time when both of us were ironclad, absolutely sure that we were going to one day witness Alicia Fox kill someone.
On accident.
Yeah, just
because of bad wrestling.
She was just so terrible that I was genuinely scared for her ring partners, honestly. But she's great now. So, fuck. I guess Charlotte, she can be a little lazy.
I'd say the same thing about Sasha Banks, honestly, but I wouldn't put him least favorite.
No, because they're good wrestlers.
Yeah, all things considered. I think I would say... oh, shit. What's the new girl? Well, relatively. Liv Morgan?
Okay, yeah.
Because we already had a Carmella, I don't know why you're here.
Why are there two of you?
And she,
It's
at the time
like
I
Tyler
last
Breeze
watched...
and Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler's a different thing now, man. Dolph Ziggler's on his own.
He's leveled up. He's ascended.
I don't even know. I don't understand what the fuck that the guy thinks he's doing. I tried to look at something he was
getting
doing recently.
a lot of money to be a wrestler.
I guess. Whatever.
He's over. You don't like it.
I don't
but that
understand
don't mean it don't work.
No, yeah. All right. Well, least favorite male wrestler.
You know, in the same way I have trouble naming off my least favorite, my favorite male wrestlers. I kind of have a lot of trouble naming off my least favorite ones.
There's so many more popular ones than females, and it's difficult for me because most overrated wrestler is on here later.
Oh,
And,
okay.
like,
I have some answers for that.
My go-to answer for least favorite actually deserves to be there.
So I got answers for that one. Least favorite though, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a dude wrestler who just is completely like, for me, the worst sin is to be playing rice cakes. The worst sin is to be completely forgettable so that I don't remember who the fuck you are.
Well, and in that, how are you going to remember who the fuck this wrestler is?
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
At the same time, I'm a little bit different because the worst sin for me is for you to chase me away from my TV.
Yeah, for you to be for you it's being the kind of person who you just hate being around.
And I don't even want to watch their shit.
So what, Miz then?
No, Jeff Jarrett.
Oh shit! I forget about him.
I think there's nothing fucking redeemable about Jeff Jarrett. He's fucking annoying. I kind of liked him briefly in the 90s because he said piss and I was a teenager. That's about it. I think he's a trash can. I think he's the worst of old world booking and territories rivalries mixed with mediocre fucking promo work and mediocre fucking ring work. He's only big because he paid himself to be big. And I just don't care for the man.
Man, I'm having a lot of trouble with this. I can't... It makes me sound way more positive than I am. I like them all. That's not the thing.
Yeah, no.
It's just that most of them don't stand out enough to be
Sure.
worth giving a fuck about, and that sounds really mean.
Fucking gun to your head. Click. Who now? Name one. Name the guy you hate the most.
AJ Styles.
Okay, that's interesting. I was about to shoot you with my fake gun, so thank you for answering. That would have been awkward as I carried the rest of the podcast.
He's one of my answers for later, is why it's occurring to me.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. All right. That leads us into, I don't remember whose turn it was, favorite manager. Ooh, favorite manager. That's an interesting...
Ooh, that is.
Yeah, because...
That's not best, because there's only one answer for best, and I'll fight you. But favorite is different than best.
I'm going to go for a local poll, but it's got to be Ed Deadly.
Yeah, he's one of the guys. He's one of the managers at our local indie fed, and he's...
Well, he was. He passed away last year.
Oh, that sucked. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that before we went to the arena, I think, or after. But he was like a combination between IRS and Jim Cornette. Yeah. And he just did it so well, and it was so fun to engage with him, and to be the shitty smarks in the audience who are riling up the marks, who by
to be his
celebrating
supporting
him.
staff.
Yeah, it was just fun, and his acting was mediocre, but the character was sold well, and they all hated him there. It was fun, so I'm gonna have to nominate him as my favorite manager.
Oh, you know what? I can't think of a lot of times when someone's had a manager that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
Aside from the answer for best manager.
Well, I mean, if that's your answer, man. I think it's a noble answer.
He's Paulie Dangerously is the best wrestling manager to ever exist. The only person who I would argue genuinely contends is Cornette. And I don't like Jim Cornette as a person.
Yeah.
So it's not close for me. But he, in terms of sheer skill, he's the only wrestling manager that I think comes close in terms of actually content. Oh, you know what? No, Paulie's the best. I have a different favorite.
Okay.
Percy.
That's I feel that. I respect
Paul
that.
Bearer is a legend.
Remember when Undertaker disappeared and he was scared?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Oh, like shout outs to Bobby Heenan and
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good wrestling
Jimmy
managers.
Hart. I love his energy.
I'm not
Jimmy
a huge
Hart.
Jimmy Hart's he's very up.
He is, man. Like I appreciate him. That's all.
And the perennial old wrestler manages new younger wrestler. That's
sure,
always
that's
pretty
good
fun.
shit. Yeah.
But no, Percy.
Cool. I dig that.
Let's see here. Funniest moment. Shit, that's a really interesting question, actually.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels super kicking the shit out of everyone. I had that saved in my YouTube favorites. I might still if they didn't take the video down. I don't remember. But he and Triple H are talking backstage about how people don't think he's spontaneous enough.
I'm not spontaneous.
He just starts super kicking people. It was hilarious.
God. Yeah. Man, that whole run of DX was fucking hilarious.
It was funny. I mean, it was problematic in hindsight, but at the time, it was funny.
Oh. You know what? I don't think it's intentionally comedic. But I think the White Castle of Fear might be the funniest goddamn thing.
White Castle of Fear?
Oh my god, are you not familiar with this?
I don't think so. Not by that name.
Oh, he's gonna have a fun time after this. He's gonna have a fun fucking time after this. We'll get to it. It's an old WCW thing. I can't describe it. I'm sorry, listener. I'm gonna have to show it to him. I'm not gonna ruin it.
That's fine. That's fine.
It wasn't intentionally funny.
Okay. like the Shockmaster kind of thing?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
But for intentionally funny, it was probably something heel Stone Cold did. To be honest.
Heel Stone Cold, really?
Heel Stone Cold was fucking hilarious.
Oh, God, I'm looking at screenshots, and that's going to be amazing later. Okay.
Heel Stone Cold was fucking hilarious.
He was, man. Like, he coined so many phrases and, like, mannerisms.
And wrestling poison. Let's be clear. He's to blame for what?
But, like, the weird intensity, and then when he started to turn that into face for no reason... Like his fucking Stone Cold insanity where he'd clearly lost his mind and was just unhinged.
He was literally tired of the character.
Yeah.
That's the reason. That's the reason he turned heel, and that's the reason he turned face again. Because he was tired of being Stone Cold, he wanted to try something new, so he turned heel. In retrospect, he says he would not have done that, by the way. And because he feels like there was more room to be face Stone Cold, he could have done better to give his heat to somebody else before. And then... the Stone Cold character as a heel was working. It was working well, but he was just having a really fun time being funny, and people were reacting to it. So he just fucking turned into the skid and decided to be as funny as possible, and he was hilarious.
Yeah, you're right. That's really underrated shit. All right, what about favorite gimmick? Now, gimmick in the wrestling world means a lot of things, but here I think we're going to take it as favorite character persona.
Not small thing someone's holding, or match result, or any physical object.
Any noun.
The gimmick is the Marklar of the wrestling community.
Hey, is that gimmick gimmicked? Gimmick. Good.
That would actually make sense to people. Wrestlers can say a sentence that consists 85% of the word gimmick, and they will understand each other. It's the buffalo of the wrestling community.
But okay, that being said, what is your favorite character persona gimmick?
I've had the same answer for this basically my whole life, and I'm pretty mad about it, but it's The Undertaker.
Right on. A zombie that shoots lightning?
Just the whole aura of that character, of the dead man. His biker era, his big evil when he was like a heel biker, the whole thing.
Yeah.
guy.
The whole story.
That arc. He's not my favorite wrestler, but I think he might be my favorite. I think he's my favorite character. I think he might be one of the better wrestlers ever. I'm pretty fucking mad about having to say that right now, but I'm not going to lie to you, listener.
Sure, and we appreciate that.
Mark Calloway, I have some issues with right now, but The Undertaker's eternal.
Part of me wants to say Dragon, but won't.
But it's a huge dragon.
Can I change my funniest moment to that?
I think yes. Decree, yes.
Fucking dragon.
Where his head falls off.
When he put it back on, it was okay.
You gave a thumbs up.
Oh, man. Fuck. Favorite gimmick. I can't set this in stone. Fuck, what the hell's his name? Darkness Crabtree.
Yeah.
Who is a little old man who comes in to do the wrestling.
Honorable mention, same sort of whole career, taken as a whole sort of character. Honorable mention is Triple H. And I'm much more sanguine about that because Paul has become a real force for good in the wrestling community as he has aged.
Yeah.
But like as a whole story, very few stories fit together as well as Triple H's does.
90s Al Snow is also a big favorite gimmick of mine. Gangrel, you know.
Yeah, there's so many good
gimmicks out there.
All right, favorite memory.
Favorite memory. Wow, that's an interesting question. And I'm not just saying that to stall for time, although that is part of the reason, but what a deep sort of wrestling question, because I mean, wrestling, you know, as much as we shit on it because it's made this weird, fucked up version of storytelling in the WWE, it is about those moments, you know? Those ones that can, like, reach back at you from the past and you know, make you feel stuff, I guess, about men in tiny pants fighting.
Yeah, just the stuff that they can reference it years later, and you go, oh, they're doing the thing!
Yeah.
That stuff.
There's a couple I can think of. I'm gonna go with my first pay-per-view that I saw live. I didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. We weren't like destitute or anything, but you know, buying a pay-per-view was a huge luxury. This was in the days before the network when that shit cost $1. And I don't remember the name of the pay-per-view off the top of my head. I'm sure y'all do. Put it in the comments section below. But it was where Stone Cold and Eric Bischoff were fighting over the rights to Raw. Whoever won like a big, maybe it was a Survivor Series. I think it might have been a Survivor Series match. But whoever won the big matches, scored the most points. I forget what the fuck was happening.
Whoever won the gimmick.
Was going to have control of Raw. And at the time, I was very anti-Stone Cold for a number of reasons. Keyed into the time and me being too cool for things that are cool. My childhood was a mess. But I was watching the pay-per-view. I wanted one thing to happen. I wanted Eric Bischoff to win because I'm a huge fan of Eric Bischoff and basically always have been.
Dude's an amazing booker. Say what you will. Him as a person.
I will say that he is an amazing booker. and great fucking on the mic and great persona. But all I wanted was for Eric Bischoff to win. And here I got this pay-per-view and I knew he wasn't. You know, in the back of my head, I knew he wasn't because it's Stone Cold. Of course he's going to win.
You know, a little bit of that Hulk Hogan hatred going on.
I mean, yeah, kind of that sort of vibe, or that John Cena hatred, you know. But no, he didn't. And, like, I was still marky enough that I was, like, yelling and celebrating and stomping around and, you know. Yeah, I look back on that, and that's really good shit. You know, it was a special time. I got a special gift from my mom and my stepdad, and I got what I wanted out of it. Like, how rare in the WWE.
It's a case of a good swerve.
Definitely.
Mine is... I don't know that I have one. I think I have a couple that are like indicative of eras of my watching wrestling.
Sure.
One was a wrestling show that I went to with my brother-in-law, who I've mentioned many times on the podcast. This was in the middle of heel Stone Cold, and I was still an utter and complete mark. I knew wrestling was, shall we say, predetermined, but I was still a mark enough for the characters that it didn't matter to me. I was a kid, so Stone Cold turned heel. I turned heel right with him.
That's fantastic.
I was a Stone Cold fan, not a Good Guys fan. Stone Cold shook Vince McMahon's hand. The next week I was like, all right, cool. I'm fine. Vince McMahon's great. And I turned just as fast as Stone Cold did. So my brother-in-law has always rooted for the bad guys in wrestling. He thinks they usually are more interesting, dynamic characters, and he finds it enjoyable to piss people off in an audience if he's in it.
Which is fun, I will admit that.
It is very much. We just talked a minute ago about how fun that is. So we went to a wrestling show, and we did our absolute best to be the loudest, most prickish dicklords in the audience, because this was still when the audience were marks. So, this was before the big internet dissemination of information and the fall of the kayfabe. Yeah, so we were rooting for, this was during heel DDP and that era, and we rooted for every single heel on the roster as loud as possible. If you find, it was a house show, but my brother-in-law has the ability to be so fucking loud that there are recordings of Raw from that era that he went to that you can hear him on.
Like that girl who loved Lita in that one episode?
Yes.
If y'all know who I'm talking about, comment in the comments.
I think there's maybe one. I think he only went to one Raw. But, so he was audible, and I was standing right next to him, and I was trying to match that volume, and everyone hated us. Everyone in the audience around us hated us, and it was a really fun feeling. My second is probably, not the first pay-per-view we watched together, but the first WrestleMania I watched with you guys. I think we
started with WrestleManias, yeah.
It was just... with
Alberto Del Rio, and I think Edge was the first match?
Yeah, that's exactly... That's literally the exact match that I'm talking about. It's that moment when Alberto Del Rio did that spinning snap armbar to Edge, and you and I both marked out for such an amazing move at the same minute. That was another era of wrestling fandom for me. And I think
that's cool.
They mark two different eras of me watching wrestling.
I dig that. All right, so would you say that's your favorite pay-per-view?
I mean, WrestleMania? In general?
Oh, well, that's an interesting way to put it, yeah.
This says, favorite pay-per-view, and it could mean, specific, the 1998 Survivor Series. I don't fucking remember.
I don't catalog like that either.
So I'm going to go general. And
sure.
No, Rumble.
Yeah.
The Rumble's my favorite pay-per-view.
I'd have to agree with that in terms of...
It's the first pay-per-view I ever saw.
I have a specific answer, too, probably. There were a lot of really good pay-per-views over the last couple of years, despite my frustrations. But if you go back through our podcast, especially literally the last 2 years, there were a lot of very good, very solid pay-per-views.
God, was it this? It wasn't. Was it? I don't think it was this. Was it this Rumble that we called the best pay-per-view in 3 years?
It might have been, man. It was fantastic. Oh
yeah, because I think that wasn't that when No, I think you're right. I think it might have been this Rumble that was just fucking amazing in all respects. Might have been Elimination Chamber.
It might have been the Rumble, too. It might have been the pay-per-view before. But regardless, I do have a specific event that I really love. I don't know if I can call it my favorite, but for the purposes of this list, the first One Night Stand.
Oh, yeah, that's
really,
good.
Really love that.
I love ECW, but I was never a mutant, really.
I came in too late to be a mutant, but I loved the energy, I always liked ECW from afar because, again, money.
Hide your wives, it's Edge. Whoo, boy.
Oh, good stuff. It was just, there was a lot of really good shit in that pay-per-view, a lot of amazing matches. It's the only pay-per-view I own on DVD, so moving right along here. Ooh. Oh, Day 16, that's hard.
I don't like that it's not hard for me.
Oh, and that means I know the answer. I don't know that I do. The question here is favorite promo. I'm going to go with the one I keep going back to. There are more powerful ones. There are more emotional
Game-changing
ones.
ones.
There are more game-changing ones. There are funnier ones. There are more manic ones.
But at the end of the day...
the cream rises to the top. Oh, yeah.
I can't hate on that. I can't. It's really... It's just a really fun...
Again, it's everything I love about wrestling. From Gene trying to keep a straight face... to fucking Randy keeping a straight face and just magicking cream out of everywhere. Gene is trying to conduct a legitimate interview, and Macho Man is basically just clown shoes fucking with him.
You know what? I have two answers.
Okay.
One that I am choosing as instead of my real answer because fuck that guy. And then the real answer. The first one is part of that thing I mentioned that was underrated before. Stephanie McMahon's promo before the main event of that WrestleMania. Triple H versus Roman Reigns. Where he's standing on the stage in like fucking ridiculous over-the-top villainous attire and just... commanding the audience. I'm still salty at that audience for cheering over that promo because that's one of the best heel promos I've ever heard.
I believe you call it her Queen Sindel promo, and like that's accurate.
Yeah. But the actual answer is the pipe bomb.
I think it was one of the biggest shocking promos in the history of promos, but looking back on it, it's just a little too
bitter,
smarmy, self-indulgent.
I love that. I love that energy.
Even before recent events, and I say this as someone who, before recent events, was a huge CM Punk fan. Looking back on it, it was a little too smarmy and bitter.
For me, for the character of CM Punk, it fit so well.
Definitely.
That it is alchemy.
Yeah.
Because Phillip Brooks is not my favorite person. I think I've been very clear about that on previous podcasts. I'm more than comfortable restating it now. He's a chode from all the things I've seen about him as a human being. But for that moment, that character, it was perfect.
Yeah, it's good shit.
It changed the game, it moved the needle, and it was an amazing promo in and of itself. And the ending of it where they cut him off is perfect.
I'd like
the only way that promo could end.
You submitted two. I'd like to submit another one.
Absolutely.
And I think this of anything, I mean, obviously that's the point of the 30-day challenge here, but this of anything is really painting our preferences as wrestling viewers. I think probably my second favorite promo, not written in stone, was when, oh fuck, my brain, Kevin Sullivan summoned Purple Haze out of the lake.
God damn.
Like this 1970s ass found footage looking shit where Kevin Sullivan is on the beach like doing chanting and shit and excuse me, like forgiveness, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but his manager is there and he's like talking all this crazy nonsense in like voiceover and fucking woman is there.
It's
and, like,
your exact shit.
And yeah, and it's like this really disturbing, you know, especially with the grain and stuff. And then like he's there for a long time doing this chanting and promoing and stuff. And then a man rises out of the lake. A man who had to have been in that lake the whole time. Like, God, that's dedication. Also, just from the concept stage, I need a wrestler. I'll summon one out of the lake. Good.
Fucking that's your exact
yeah, man, that's good shit.
Alright, day 17, first wrestling memory.
First wrestling memory. The earliest memory I have of professional wrestling is being traumatized when
God, this is such a good story.
When Sergeant Slaughter, I believe, he was involved. It might have been somebody else. I've been corrected on this before. But this is as I remember it, so I'll put it that way. When Sergeant Slaughter bloodied Hulk Hogan at some pay-per-view, and, like, little child me was so wrecked because, you know, Hulk Hogan was the hero, you know? He was the good guy. And his friend betrayed him. How could he? And it stuck with me forever. Like, when WCW versus NWO came out, and I played as Hulk Hogan or against Hulk Hogan, I didn't like it when he bled. And I was like close to my teens at that point. I should have been well over that, but that's my earliest wrestling memory.
Mine is from, I was at a friend's house, which me and this guy weren't friends for very long. Like a few months.
Listener, I want you to...
I don't remember this person. I want you to be clear. I want to be clear about this. I know vaguely where he lived at the time, but I don't remember this person at all.
The horror in his face as he describes this to me, like this is my hole.
But I remember my first wrestling, because it's the first time I ever experienced pro wrestling. I know that. And it was, I'm almost certain, I know one of the participants, I kind of remember the other, so I'm going to be honest. It was an episode of Monday Nitro, Rey Mysterio Jr. versus, I'm fairly certain, Psychosis. And I remember being enthralled by what the hell was going on, because I was a Power Rangers kid, and this was...
It's basically two Power Rangers fighting,
It's basically two Power Rangers fighting! This is great! Then I went home and I ended up watching WWE because it fit me better because it was edgier and I was an edgy little shit. But yeah.
Was.
I'm a boring adult now.
They don't have to know that. As far as they know, you're sitting here in full Reaper cosplay. You be the Lord of the Edge. Hide your wives.
I'm going to. I want to mention someone else's first wrestling memory because I've heard this story a bunch too, and I think it highlights something that I mentioned earlier. My brother-in-law, who I mention a lot, his first wrestling memory is watching Honky Tonk Man smash a guitar over someone's head. I think that was really formative.
Yeah, I'd say so. All right, well now it's time for day 18.
Day 18, most overrated wrestler. The wrestler who is hailed as being amazing and unbelievably good and the best thing since sliced bread, who is not those things. What the fuck are you all smoking? Why don't you answer first?
It's The Miz.
Really? Why would you say that it's The Miz?
Because he hasn't done anything different in forever. Now, you know what? Fuck, I stopped watching, so I guess maybe he might be a lion tamer now. I don't know. But... as of the last time I watched, that motherfucker had been on the same stale-ass shit for the last 5 years. And, like...
when a gimmick is that good, do you really need to change it?
You know, this is part of what bothers me about current wrestling, is that shit goes on in perpetuity. It is a brand, and if you're making money with the brand, then you keep needing to milk the brand.
I mean, there's also no fairy dust anymore. So.
No, and like, well, yeah, they're not being fairy dust. With wrestling being so readily available, you need to move on from the brand because the brand's going to get tired. Except for whatever reason, wrestling, in WWE specifically, is always trying to cater to those casual fans who only show up on Easter and Christmas. So
they spend money.
Yeah,
They buy T-shirts.
I could go on a tirade about it. I could, but I have nothing against Mike Mizanin as a person. I am happy that he managed to use reality TV to launch himself into his dream career, and he may not have paid his dues in the traditional way, but he did it. He made an ass of himself on TV, and I loved him.
And he took shit in the backstage area for years.
And I loved him when he was with Johnny Mundo, and I loved him when he was going into that WrestleMania against John Cena.
God, that was with the fucking video package beforehand where he's in front of all those TVs.
Yeah, man, it was all good stuff. I loved that whole lead-in. I thought he was a great wrestler. I liked him for a little while after that. I kind of started to sour on him when he just...
It really seems like it's the Hollywood gimmick that soured.
Yeah, man, it just... I don't think he works it well, and like I know
you are the only one that thinks that.
I know, and I know the irony, the joke of it is that he's not a fucking Hollywood star, but it makes so little sense, and nobody really points it out that it upsets me even more. Like the more I unravel the Miz, the more upset I get.
Whereas I love the Miz, and I think the weird contradictions in his character are really actually well done. So this is an interesting answer because I just disagree with you.
Sure, that's
we've
fair.
had this fight enough times that I know we know each other's points. We're not going to convince each other.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've got a second answer, and it's Dolph Ziggler.
It's just and God, that year where it was just those two for the
Yeah.
Intercontinental title
Fucking-
every pay-per-view.
Why? And then he came back, and that's what they did again. Why? I think they're doing it again now.
They are the great saga of John Cena versus Randy Orton right again.
What's your answer?
I have my main answer and then my secondary answer. My secondary answer is AJ Styles. I just don't get it. I mean, he's a pretty good pro wrestler, but I don't get why everyone loves him that much, and his finisher is stupid, and you'll never convince me otherwise. My actual answer is Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is the most overrated wrestler I can think of.
I have to say,
fucking full stop.
like I'm not as passionate about it as you, but in the because WWE 2K19 the game, they're bringing back showcase mode where you play through a character or a wrestler's history, and it's for Daniel Bryan, which makes sense because he just came back to wrestling. Mm-hmm. Perfect fucking time.
I loved WrestleMania. Go back and listen to the podcast.
Yeah. However, they make him look way more Christ-like than I remember.
Do you not remember his...
I remember he had long hair and a beard and all that. I do. But, like...
He looks like Jesus.
He might as well be wearing a white robe with a blue sash.
He's wrestling Jesus.
And, like, come on, guys. Must you?
Yes, they must. Because here's the thing. I don't think Daniel Bryan is bad. That's not what this is.
No.
I don't even think he's okay. Bryan Danielson is an amazing pro wrestler. He is an incredible athlete. He tells stories in the ring so well that I have trouble finding anything to actually criticize. But he is so radioactively, toxically over that he warped the entire wrestling industry in a way I despise.
I would say, honestly, more than the pipe bomb, the fucking Yes movement changed what wrestling is now. And not for the better.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan, for me, because obviously this list is subjective.
Sure.
Daniel Bryan may be the biggest contributing factor to me not watching wrestling anymore at the end of the day.
You guys want to list your 30 days thing, you don't want to do this over 30 days on Twitter or whatever, just post it in the comments, man. I'll read it. I'll give you a little thumbs up. I'll hit the little heart button.
But, like, it's just, he warped wrestling. He's so titanically, unbelievably, ridiculously over that anything he touches becomes completely radioactive. You can't be over if Daniel Bryan exists. Because only Daniel Bryan gets to be over. Only Daniel Bryan gets to be the big hero that everyone loves. Anyone else who tries is burned at the stake for daring to try and touch Daniel Bryan's golden throne. I hate it. I hate it. It's stagnant, it's awful, and it honestly fucks up every other wrestler's career because they can't get Stone Cold over. Nobody can. Only Daniel Bryan can. And he's just not that good. The dude's never delivered anything but a white meat babyface promo that I found anything close to compelling, and even those are only okay. He's not amazing on the mic.
It's really the energy around him that's been better. I mean, look at him and his GM run.
He has personal charisma, but he's not great on the microphone. He's amazing in the ring, and he's good at putting other wrestlers over, but he's not wrestling Jesus. He's not the fucking Messiah. I don't understand why he's this... I don't understand why he's so over that no one else gets to be.
Yeah, I mean, and look at history. You know, as much as... I like Daniel Bryan. I do. And I do too. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah.
I loved WrestleMania. I loved it when he was over.
But
I was sad when he had to retire.
Sure.
That first time.
But, like, look what happened to Batista because of him. Batista didn't do anything.
Dave Batista is a fucking great dude. Fight me.
But even at the time, he was like, don't do this. Do not put me in. This is not going to go well.
I'm not going to be a face. Have you seen them?
And, like, if you watch him knowing that, if you watch him, like, coming down to the ring and shit, the look on his face is, yup, Batista was right.
Batista is always right. But like
Or look at what happened to Roman Reigns, man. Like, Batista got hit with like a glance of it and he left. Roman Reigns was bathed in that shit.
And
He became Bizarro in Superman's light.
And you know what? This actually is a really great moment to mention this. I don't think Roman Reigns is the best wrestler ever. I think I'm a bigger fan of Roman Reigns than Roman Reigns deserves. But I'm so, he's the underdog. In the ring, no, he's John Cena. But in the overall meta-narrative of the WWE, he's the underdog. Dude can't get over to save his life. Dude could literally save an actual child from a burning building by punching the building open and then flying the child out and then curing that child's cancer. And you would still fucking boo him.
Braun Strowman got over by committing crimes at Roman Reigns.
Braun Strowman got over by attempting to murder Roman Reigns. Do you have,
while being worse Roman Reigns.
And while being Roman Reigns, but worse at wrestling, newer, having paid fewer of his dues and being way worse on the mic. And he just tried to kill Roman Reigns, and you loved him because Roman Reigns dared to try and approach the golden gilded throne of Daniel Bryan. I hate that shit so much. And I hate it so much that it's made me a bigger fan of Roman Reigns just because I'm tired of listening to all of you give him shit undeservedly.
Not you, listener. You, though, listener.
Some of you.
Ultimo Dragon, I know it's a scattered minefield of personalities in your brain, so you don't take it personally.
Except for you. You take it personally.
Let's move on to most underrated wrestler.
You answer this one first, because I just talked for like a million years.
You sure did. A couple years ago, I would have said Goldust, but he slowed back down.
God, he did have those couple years, though, didn't he?
God, he really did. Legacy-wise, let's throw Kevin Sullivan out there again.
Yeah.
I feel like the guy just missed the brass ring too many times. And he wasn't, phenomenal in the ring. I would say he was around as good as Piper in the ring. And when he had his fucking devil-worshipping gimmick, his promos were really good. But he just, a couple of bad decisions took him down the wrong path. I think Al Snow also, both in and out of ring, I don't understand why he didn't reach Mick Foley heights, other than the fact that Mick Foley was there.
That is what.
I mean, but even when he left, even when he tried to do other things, he just never, even when Foley left and there was that space to fill and Al Snow didn't go in there, I don't understand it.
Foley just had that
spark. I could keep talking about people like Dan Severn and Steve Blackman and
you know what? I'm gonna mention someone who I don't know if they're the most underrated wrestler of all time, but they were underrated with me. So that counts. The wrestler I underrated the most.
Okay.
Mark Mero.
Yeah, the Wild Man. Good stuff.
Mark Mero was a fucking amazing wrestler.
Yes.
And I did not notice that the first time I watched him wrestle. And I apologize, because he's great. And it is something of a crime that all anyone remembers of Mark Mero is Sable's tits.
Listener, y'all know me. I believe the people are more than their physical appearance. But given that, I have to say, I still don't understand why Sable got so over when Terry Reynolds was right there.
Terry Reynolds was attached to Goldust and he's weird.
I don't
That's
care.
probably why.
Probably. I just don't understand it. Same archetype and everything. That's what really irks me. It's not like, I prefer this kind of person. Brunettes are better. Fight me. No, just same physical fucking tanned, blonde hair, gazongas. And everyone was like, Sable. That's the one. Fuck me. Yeah, so
Many
favorite
of them did say that.
favorite wrestling move. It was not Sable's fuck me. Favorite wrestling move. I'll talk a little bit, since you seem to be thinking. I have a penchant for the blockbuster. I don't know where I developed it from, but I made a lot of fake wrestlers in my time, on video games and in e-feds and stuff. I give a lot of them the blockbuster. Subconsciously, didn't know I was doing it until I noticed a pattern when I was creating my grand e-fed wrestler archive. I love DDTs. All variations of the DDT are good.
All DDTs are valid.
All DDTs are valid. But if I had to pick my favorite fucking moves, I love the Faymaster. I just think it's a cool-ass looking move. Also, Billy Gunn did it. And the most iconic is diving elbow drop.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, most of my favorite wrestlers have done the diving elbow drop.
Yeah, that's it's a really good visual.
Yeah, it's just, and if you do it well, gif of what's his name, John Goodman from The Emperor's New Groove. But
for me, I love Stone Cold Stunner. Stone Cold Steve Austin did it. But I have a lot of wrestling moves that I think are really, really good. They're really iconic. They serve their purpose well.
Fuck you.
But what?
No, you're not going to say the thing?
No.
Okay, cool.
But I honestly, visually, just in terms of pure ability to be both something that many wrestlers can do and is almost always incredibly cool to watch. The shooting star press is really cool.
Oh, hell yeah. It's a beautiful move if you pull it off.
It's a beautiful move if you pull it off. It's a really damaging, it looks like it would be very effective.
Sure.
And it's just, you can do so much with a shooting star press. You can build characters around that move, and they have before.
Yeah. For the record, since I try not to make so many inside jokes on here anymore, I thought he was going to say the Vader attack, which is a move he used to use in the games to destroy me with because I could not counter it. For many, many games.
the running body attack.
Yeah. Body avalanche.
Body
it's often called too.
No.
So, day 21 we're on now.
Wow, yeah. This is a long podcast.
It is a long podcast, but sometimes we just like sitting down and spending time with you, listener.
Yeah. Favorite gimmick match? That is to say, a match with a specific differentiation from the standard match of that promotion. Not a match that has objects in it.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes,
yeah.
yes.
I am saddened that because I don't feel like explaining a bunch of shit that me and my friends made up, I'm going to have to talk about real matches.
Oh, I'm...
Okay.
I mean, I'll give a real match too, but there is an answer, and it's a dumb thing that got made up on the internet and e-fed, and I love it. So
many of mine are dumb things that I made up on the internet and e-fed, or my friends did. But my actual favorite wrestling gimmick match, I feel like you can't go wrong with the exploding turnbuckles and barbed wire ropes kind of death match. I feel like there's a lot of good storytelling in a ladder match. But end of the day, I love crazy shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ultimate X was some incredible stuff. Like, it took everything great about a ladder match and just turned it on its side. And, just the more weird shit you can throw in a match. Like when they had Buff Bagwell on a mom on a forklift. That was cool. Judy Bagwell on a forklift.
The Judy Bagwell on a pole match?
Yeah, she's on a forklift. They called it on a pole, but whatever. The kennel match, as much of a disaster as it was.
I cannot fucking believe you defend the kennel match.
I'm not defending it. Like, conceptually, I like where they were going with that. I loved when they brought an octagon down to the ring,
and then they found out that Dogs don't like loud noises or crowds of people.
They mostly
Who
just
fucking knew.
poop and freak out. But, I don't know, man. Like,
Never work with children or animals, man.
it's really hard for me to pin down outside dumb bullshit matches I've made up.
You know what? I have one that I can pin down.
Okay.
And then I'll do dumb bullshit match.
Okay.
First, TLC.
TLC is good.
Like, it's incredibly useful. It's incredibly fun. It's a great garbage match or a great wrestling match, depending on who's in it. A lot of flexibility. Second, real match that I want to mention as like an honorable mention is because it's not one specific gimmick. Any match where there are many singles participants that is an elimination style match. I love that. I think that's a great way of doing a multi-man wrestling match. I'm not actually a huge fan of like 6-man single fall matches because it just is so many different contrivances for who's going to interrupt the pin this time. And I find way better storytelling in elimination style 6-man matches, which you don't see much of, which upsets me. It's one of the reasons I like the Elimination Chamber.
And the Royal Rumble.
And the Royal Rumble, yes. Oh, yeah, you see, you've noticed a pattern. The stupid bullshit matches, and I'm not even going to explain what this is, because if you weren't a part of the e-fetting community we were a part of a couple years ago, you won't care. And if you were, you know what this is. It's the Cube. It's fucking
I think
amazing.
I've talked about it on a podcast before. Check out one of our e-fetting podcasts. I'm almost positive I have. After some thought, I think your general hardcore match, not Falls Count Anywhere, just general hardcore match. Although I do love the Falls Count Anywhere variants. I think that's probably my favorite match type because when I built my first e-fed, all of the matches were hardcore matches by default. Special shout out to the fact that I love Lucha Libre rules more than traditional American wrestling rules. I like the tag options where if the dude leaves the ring, the next guy in the ring is the legal man.
Yeah, it's just very dynamic.
There's greater leniency on how long you can be in the ring and how long you can be out of the ring. I don't know. There's something about it that gives more options for storytelling than the traditional American match. So, favorite era in wrestling?
You really gonna make me say this? You really gonna make me say this out loud on the goddamned internet? It's the Attitude Era. I'm a goddamn stereotype.
I don't know if mine is the Attitude Era. It might be. But it also might be the lead-in to the Attitude Era.
You know what? Honestly, I say that, but timeline-wise, given how old I am, my favorite era of wrestling is actually probably technically categorized as the Ruthless Aggression Era.
Okay, right on.
Because it was a little bit past the Attitude Era. Stone Cold was at his real height, and then you build it into The Rock, and like early Brock Lesnar and stuff. That rough area is when I was like 12, because it's like the early 2000s.
In hindsight, like watching that stuff, there's a lot I love about the Attitude Era. It might actually be my favorite.
Some
era
of it
of
did not
wrestling.
age well.
Some of it didn't age well, and I really appreciate the earnestness of the pre-Attitude Era. Like
the
after
New Generation?
After the New Generation, before the Attitude Era.
transitional
That
phase.
little transitional phase, I think there's a lot of good shit in there. Not so much in WWE, but WCW was doing really well, and they were doing really cool things. And there was, like I said, it was just very earnest, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I found a lot of characters I liked before everything got kind of tongue-in-cheek and edgy and insincere.
Yeah, okay.
Which I loved, too. I mean, don't get me wrong. All right, what about your most improved wrestler? Since when? That's hard to say.
Just
Least
let's
improved
say-
wrestler, the ones
let's
that
say
have died.
Throughout.
Too soon?
What did Owen do to you? What did Owen do to you?
I think he's gotten better, actually. I think he's the only wrestler who's died that's gotten better.
You know what? I would believe it.
Yeah.
There are wrestlers that Owen Hart would out wrestle.
Oh, yeah, definitely. God.
But so let's say over the course of their career, what bits of it you've seen? Who would you say that? Like, who shocked you the most with how much they improved?
An easy answer would be Alicia Fox.
So that's the easy answer, is because she's great now, and I was pretty sure she was going to kill someone at some point.
An ironic answer would be The Miz.
Do you think he's a much better wrestler now than he was?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Dude, he was garbage.
You just hate his gimmick.
Yeah, I think he's crazy overrated. I think repackage the guy and do something different with him.
He can't be a face. He's a terrible face.
No, but just give him a slightly different gimmick where Maurice doesn't run all of his matches. Or some other mook. Like, I didn't hate him when he was scared of the ghost of Braun Strowman. That was an interesting wrinkle to things. But that's not a full gimmick. So...
yeah, the easy answer is Alicia Fox.
Sure.
She's great, and there were times I literally had to turn away while watching a match of hers, because I saw her come like 4-5 centimeters from murdering someone, and it just scared the shit out of me, genuinely. Or she was fucking amazing this whole time, and she was just that good that she could wrestle super dangerous. That's entirely possible.
That's a problem with kayfabe, man.
If I'm a complete mark on this, then Alicia Fox, best wrestler of all time.
Alicia Fox, could you let us know in the comments if you're the best wrestler of all time?
And like you were just intentionally almost murdering people because you knew you were good enough not to, and that would scare smarks. Because fucking if so, just fucking A+ work. I couldn't tell. But you know what? Like, I'm gonna mention someone else because it was someone I shat on mercilessly back in the day, who I ended up loving. Wade Barrett.
Oh yeah, Wade Barrett was good. I remember him.
I shat on Wade Barrett mercilessly.
He had a kid with Dodger, didn't he?
Sure.
I'm doing that thing where you narrow down your comedy to like one guy in the audience.
That guy's laughing. But, it's Wade Barrett, maybe Drew McIntyre, who's great now.
Yeah, but he's with Dolph Ziggler. So.
He used to be real boring, but not bad, just boring.
No, yeah.
But Wade Barrett. I used to shit on him mercilessly.
Yeah, I remember that.
He became excellent over a very short period of time.
Kind of when he was allowed to do whatever he wanted because nobody cared anymore. Day 24's most shocking moment, okay? And you feel free to answer this. I don't think I would answer it positively. So I am going to give a sort of answer to this question. Because I would like to shout out the infamous Shawn Michaels Hulk Hogan match. As one of the most amazing things I've ever witnessed. It was new heights of pettiness. Just watching it unfold it's art. It's fucking art.
It was not the most absurd piss take, and he elevated being a petty piss lord asshole to just true artistic height.
In response to another guy being a petty piss lord asshole.
Oh yeah, Hulk Hogan was a shit. Like, let's not pretend like Hulk Hogan wasn't being a shit. Shawn Michaels had very legitimate reasons to be mad, but his vengeance was the kind of thing that people write poetry about.
So, I don't know if it counts as shocking, but I think the shocking things I'd talk about would be negative, and I don't want to, so fucking that match. I want to say it was a Survivor Series or SummerSlam. One of those 2 S's. You know the match. Google it. It will pop up.
My answer is... Sorry, I had to burp.
Was that for, like, retroactive all of the burps you've done over the course of this podcast?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gassy. Sorry. But...
I just chug soda while I sit over here not talking.
I'm not even. It's tea.
I'm playing. It's all one love, you know.
But
Daniel Bryan.
Pardon wants to say Shockmaster. But no.
I mean, it was shocking.
not in a good way. No. The most shocking moment was the dawn of Suplex City. Was that John Cena Brock Lesnar match, where they said it afterwards, and they weren't just being wrestling commentators. It's just true. Nobody fucking expected that.
No.
No one expected that.
No.
Brock Lesnar had been back not too long before that match, and they had an even match. John won that match. Mm-hmm. Brock Lesnar comes back and hambles John Superman Cena. Just to a degree that the character of John Cena changed afterward, and you know what it takes to change that character.
He's a robot now.
But, like, no one. That was the suplex heard round the fucking world. Because no one saw that coming.
Yeah, man.
And
shit.
it has created the fucking Brick Lesnar, the laser firing super beast, the final boss of wrestling, who even defeated Goldberg, Broly. Brock Lesnar is wrestling's. He's a human cheat code. He's wrestling's final boss, and it's because of that match.
Good shit. Day 25, my man.
Favorite commentator or announcer?
I have one who's near and dear to my heart. I have one who I think is very technically skilled. I am going to say the one that marries those two concepts the most. Joey Styles.
Nice. Out of curiosity, I have nothing to discuss. I agree he's very good. I'm going to give my answer, and then I want to hear those other two as well.
Sure.
For me, there is one answer here. It's good old JR, Jim Ross.
See, he's the one who's near and dear to my heart. JR was my childhood at announcing. He taught me many words. You know? And a lot of when I write commentary in a wrestling match, not that I've done that in a while, but it uses his ideas and his tropes and shit.
I think JR has the best way of looking at being a commentator, the most insightful way of looking at being a commentator.
Quote.
And I think that even, like, if you put him in front of a microphone and let him commentate a wrestling match, that makes that match better. Not just because of nostalgia, not just because I loved him because he was there when I was a child. The man knows how to tell a story.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
He knows how to add lyrics to good music.
He knows when to shut the fuck up.
That's an important part. You gotta know when to let the fucking guitarist solo. You gotta know when to let the drummer just go nuts for like a solid 25 seconds. Shut up occasionally. It's important.
Mauro Ranallo, I think, is the best technical commentator. His catchphrases are dumb, but
those were forced on him.
Yeah, I know that.
That's not Mauro's.
No. But his polls of wrestling factoids and knowledge and trivia, his attention to detail, his ability to keep up with the action, he doesn't get confused as the other commentators do, not as much anyway. He's just very, very technically gifted.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
Joey Styles also gets credit because he's the only man I've heard who can accurately and adequately single-man commentary a match.
Yeah, he's the only guy I know who can be play-by-play and color.
I think two-man team is my preferably.
Three is too many. It's crowded.
Three's, especially if they sound similar, and then you're like, wait, are you making fun of yourself? Or if one of them is Booker T, and then nothing is anything anymore.
One of them can be JBL. JBL is actually, ironically, a really good wrestling commentator because he doesn't try.
I think
that's
honestly,
when he's at his best, is when he's just not trying.
I think WWE's final pay-per-view, like fucking Apocalypse or whatever, that I think the whole show needs to be commentated by JBL and Booker T, just as like a dirge of nonsense.
Because they wouldn't talk about any match that's going on ever.
Except when Booker T would say that he was trying to talk about the match. And JBL's like, you're over here talking about Batman. Batman's not in the ring. If you listen for a second, I'm talking about like how Batman is
just
like the Miz.
Just like that time in Germany. You remember that time in Germany?
No, we were talking about Germany right now. Shucky ducky quack quack.
No, okay, next thing.
Yeah. It's a dream match.
Shit. That's really hard.
Yeah, dream matches in general kind of rough for me. I like a match with stakes. That's my thing. I
could book you a dream angle.
Sure, I could book you a dream pay-per-view, and I've done it before, and it did involve 2 matches with Darkness Crabtree. It was technically 1 match, but he came back later. Darkness Crabtree versus Al Snow. Fuck it, I'll say that's my dream match. And I want it to last the whole show. I want them to leave at one point, and then, like, we have some vignettes during other matches where they're wrestling in, like, a supermarket and, like, out by the river and fucking elsewhere. And then they come back in the ring and finish it between other matches later. That's my dream match. It's the dumbest shit, and I love it, and fuck you.
My dream match involves going back in time. My dream match is I take a time machine, I go back to the WrestleMania where Brock Lesnar beat the Streak, I insert Bray Wyatt in there, Bray Wyatt wins, we never see the fucking Undertaker again, and Bray Wyatt takes his place.
That's not bad.
I could book you a gimmick lining up to that if you want. I could do it better. I'm a smartass, but but I
miss you, buddy.
Like, that's my dream match.
Right on. How long is this? Let's see. Where's our timestamp? An hour and 18 minutes and 41 seconds. Minus 5 because I do a little intro thing. That's interesting. Okay.
This is the longest one in a long time.
It's been, I think the last one that was this long, we actually ended up splitting up. I could be wrong about that. But we're winding down here. Who's a wrestler you want to see more of?
Well, I mean, to do that, I'd have to watch pro wrestling, so...
I really thought you were going to go for a porn joke, and you didn't, and I'm proud of you.
Oh, like see more of as in I could see their bits.
Yeah,
oh,
their naked parts.
Well, I mean, I would answer Paige, but...
Diamond Dallas Page?
Sure.
Oh, I set him up, you knock him back, my dude. I don't know, man. It's like it's the guys that fade off into the distance who like only exist in house shows that I don't get to see. You know, it's the internet age. You can track down someone you want to see more of.
You know what? Yeah, you know who I would like to see more of? Everybody. In WWE, one way they'd come a lot closer to getting me back is if they spend less time on the main event. Give other wrestlers more time. You got 3 fucking hours to fill anyway. Give other wrestlers more time to wrestle.
Man, they asked a question like, you know, who do you like? And they asked most underrated wrestler again, and you gave them here's how to fix it. I'm going to second that. What about day 28 there, my friend?
Favorite rivalry? Look, I'm sorry, this is a cliche, but it's Vince McMahon versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Nothing comes fucking close. Nothing.
What is the fight forever of my heart?
Yeah, what is the thing where you could see where they could be Batman and the Joker? We could do this dance forever.
The old expanded universe version of Han Solo and Boba Fett.
Rip old expanded universe.
It had its ups and downs. That is that's tough. I mean, like, Vince and Stone Cold's really good. I don't look back as fondly on Stone Cold in general. Not, like, in a bad way. Just, I wish he hadn't fucked up his knees.
I wish he hadn't fucked up his neck.
And his neck, sure.
God, watching Steve Austin matches from before he fucked up his neck is somewhat tragic, honestly.
So much better.
He's just so good.
So it's kind of hard for me to like enjoy the matches as much because he became that WWE formula when I know now as a not young Mark that he was capable of so much more and just couldn't anymore. I'm gonna say we're talking about a dream world here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say John Cena and CM Punk. In a world where CM Punk isn't a bag of assholes.
Yeah, okay. Sold.
Those guys.
I like this dream world because I like that version of CM Punk more.
Those guys worked so fucking well.
They had so much chemistry. They had every piece of chemistry that John Cena and The Rock lacked.
Yeah, and like, man, I was still tired of Cena at the time, and I would have watched those fuckers keep fighting until I couldn't anymore.
Same. Favorite wrestling-related image?
Jeez. I mean, like, the Vince McMahon ejaculating so hard he flies out of his chair gif set's a pretty good one.
It's useful.
Sure is. Al Snow in the backstage with Abe Lincoln and a sign that reads "No Polish Hammers" is pretty good.
So much of wrestling is useful for memes, but I'm gonna go unironic.
Okay.
But in that, I'm going to somewhat cheat. There is a favorite wrestling-related image, because it is endemic to me, of one of my favorite bits of wrestling. One of the best part of WrestleMania, which is Triple H's entrance. Specifically, I believe it was WrestleMania 30, where he's the Golden Viking God, and he has Valkyries beside his throne in the forms of, I believe it was Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair, and like that image of him sitting recumbent upon his mighty throne, Valkyries fucking flanking him, attending to his needs, that wrestling god, how the character of Triple H sees himself that's metal. That is the sight of a fucking van. That is metal in its purest form.
And that's the difference between us, because like a lot of me it would be really easy to say, you know what, no, I'm going to go inspirational. My favorite wrestling related image, DDP entering the Rumble.
Shit, yeah, that's a real... Actually, I got a goosebump or two. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
They told him he wouldn't walk again.
Yep. And he was one of my favorites back in the day. Man never did anything to disappoint me. He just kind of disappeared. And then we found out what he was up to, and he was being fucking phenomenal.
He came back as Buddha.
Yeah. You want to talk about wrestling Jesus. That man has really helped some people to heal. So, yeah, I'm going to say that's my favorite wrestling image.
I like it.
All right. We finally come to day 30. Do you feel older? I feel older.
A lot, yeah, but not in the mean way you seem to be implying.
Why do you like wrestling, the boy?
Well, I mean, if you look at my watching habits, I don't know that that's a true statement.
Why do you like Star Wars, the boy?
Well, if you look at my...
I've got a simple answer.
Go for it.
Wrestling is a construct. It's a form of entertainment that is not quite one thing and almost another. It has so much potential for the most serious, dramatic stories, for the most deep and heart-wrenching promos, for the goofiest shit. Like Mark Henry's retirement speech that was totally a ruse. Like that kind of thing is emblematic of why I love wrestling. I love it because it's real and it isn't. I love it because the people who think they know everything, us included, don't know shit. It's that old fucking Roddy Piper thing. You think you know all the answers and I change the fucking questions. Wrestling does that. It is an enigma. And yet, at the same time, it's so fucking dirt simple and stupid.
Men don't like each other, fight now.
Wear silly costume, maybe throw snake at.
At its best, when it's running on all cylinders, pro wrestling is unique. It is an art form that is not replaceable. It has stories you can't tell in other mediums that don't work in other mediums.
Yeah.
It has things like White mentioned. You can't. There's not another medium where you could legitimately have me welling up and cackling and into the action and overthinking the meta of why this person's, I don't do that to movies. I don't give a shit. I don't need to... I don't know about Chris Pratt renegotiating his contract. But I do that to wrestling. I get invested in wrestling in a way I don't in other mediums. And it's got such a wide variety of potential stories. It's just irreplaceable. It's one of the reasons I'm so sad that it's not... It and I are in different places right now. That really sucks. Because it means that I can't get that elsewhere. Because there's nowhere else to get that.
Yeah, it's all just wrestling. And it'll come back around again. It always comes back around again. Or will come back around again, or something will happen. Or the fucking Wrestling Is app will be available on the Xbox, on my TV, where I like to watch wrestling, not on the computer, where I don't like to watch wrestling. And then I can just watch Chikara and be happy. And you can watch Chikara and be happier. Yeah, man, wrestling can be so many things. And you can take it super seriously, or you can not. You can have one event where you go from, having actual tears over a beautiful retirement of a wrestler whose career you've loved, and then the literal next match, the literal next thing you could see could be 4 little people in a tiny ladder match. And you can laugh your ass off and really enjoy it.
And the next thing you see can be an act of villainous intent so completely reprehensible that you actually start to get real life mad.
And that other wrestlers actually start to get real life mad because they don't know if it's real or not. Wrestling is magic. You can do so much with it. It is the schmoo of entertainment. It's an economics
We're
theory
not
thing. Sorry.
We're not going to do better than that.
Okay, all right.
Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it, let's get hardcore! Blood, pain, we're all insane. Suffer head trauma, destroy